Cool. Yeah, it's recording now. Cool. All right, guys. How's everyone doing? Good to see familiar faces. For you guys that haven't met me before, I came to the gym a few months ago to do a seminar on shoulders. So my name's Justin Rabinowitz. And basically what we do is we help adults, like active adults like you, CrossFit sports, that get injured with what they're doing and want to get back to doing the things that they love to do, and teach you how to get through a time like this specifically. So we've been doing this for quite a few gyms, and it's gone really, really well. So in a class like this, what we're going to do tonight, 35 minutes of mobility drills. We're going to hit 3 or 4 different areas. Now, I'm going to give obviously general advice here, and the biggest thing right now is to understand we're not only doing mobility drills, but all of the drills that we do are assessments, right? So we're going to do things on the right and the left. We're going to do different things, right? And so I want you to feel, is it different from side to side? Is there something going on that might not feel so good? And then, you know, after this, if you need anything, you know, we're open. So if you need to call me or anything like that, and I need to get on the phone with you to explain anything individually after this, I'm happy to do it. So again, use this for mobility, but also use it as a self-assessment. A lot of people, as we're going through it, as I've done in the past couple of weeks, they're like, oh, I didn't even know this was this tight. I didn't even feel that before. So that's what I want you to start to pay attention to, all right? So about 30 minutes, we'll get you in and out. I guarantee by the end of this, you're gonna feel a heck of a lot better, especially for all of you guys. We know we're not as active as we used to be. Even if you're working out, we're still not moving as much as we used to be, and we're starting to feel the effects of it, and I'll talk you through it as we go. So what we're gonna start with tonight is our quadruped position. So you just watch what I'm doing, and I'll move myself around. I want you on all fours here, okay? So I want your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And what we're gonna do, if any of you have done yoga before, we're just gonna start with a very basic cow, cat, cat, camel. And I just want you to start to get loose there. So I want you to explore some end ranges. So extend all the way, and then you're gonna round and flex all the way. And then you're gonna extend all the way and flex all the way. And what I want you to think about as you're doing it is each time I want you to try to go a little bit further. I want you to try to extend down a little bit more, and then I want you to try and round and flex up as much as you can. Really try to think you're going to round your low back, you're going to round your mid back, you're going to tuck your chin, and then you're going to extend your low back, you're going to extend your mid back, and you're going to extend your head. And let's just work about 10 to 15 of those. And as you do more, you should feel a little bit looser as you're doing it. So round and extend. Let's do about 10 or 15. And what you're doing is you're starting to explore your end range of spine motion here. End range of spine motion. So just keep going about 10 to 15 and understand, how does it feel? Does it feel a little bit, does one side hurt? Does it both sides feel pretty good? Is it tight? As I'm doing more, does it loosen up? Really try to tuck and tilt. There you go. Good. Good. Excellent. All right. Now, so check it out. Now that you've done that and gotten loose there, what we're going to do is we're going to use that ability to go round and then extend. And what we're going to do is we're going to find a neutral spine. So check it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to round my back all the way. I'm going to extend my back all the way. And then I'm going to go halfway in the middle. And then halfway in the middle is a neutral spine. So I want you to round, extend, and then find neutral, and then relax. And then round, extend, and find neutral. So let's do about 10. And as you're doing that, I'm going to talk you through why this is important. So the first thing we did was find mobility. You found end range of your spine. In between the two of those end ranges is a neutral spine, AKA the position that you should be squatting from, deadlifting from, lunging from. Any type of activity that you're doing where you're loading yourself with weights, kettlebell swinging, pressing, you should be into this neutral position. So once you find this neutral position, if you go flexed all the way, extend and neutral, and that feels far into you, that means that you're probably not doing that when you're lifting. Now, the easiest way for you to hurt your back is to add a weight to a position that's in an end range position. So just so you guys can see, an exaggerated end range extension would be you squatting with your back extended here. and creating that arch and then going down. That's going to hurt your back. Or the other way would be a rounded back deadlift, right? So either one of those is going to create a problem in your spine. So a way, again, a nice easy way for you to find it is that find flexed, find extended, and then find neutral. Now, here's the next step of this. We're going to find flexion, we're going to find extension, we're going to find neutral. From there, we're going to maintain our core, because right now my core is turned on. And I'm going to start sitting my hips all the way back. And I'm going to come back to neutral. So from the front here, it's flexed, extended, and then sit back. This is exactly a squat. So I'm in a neutral position, and then I'm going to sit my hips back, all while fighting to maintain this. And now I'm sitting down in a squat, and I'm coming back to neutral. So a neutral spine, push your hips back and come back. What shouldn't happen is this, extend back. What shouldn't happen is this, and round back. It should be neutral, and then push your hips back. Again, just as you're doing it, just look up. Just like as you squat down, we want to see you maintain a neutral pelvis. So find neutral. Now push your hips all the way back to your heels. Get a good hip mobility. Get a good hip stretch. Good. So I see a couple of you going all the way down, and at the bottom, your pelvis is starting to tuck under. Really fight to try to keep it neutral as opposed to letting it round. So as you go down, don't let this happen. I really want you to stay neutral, to sit back and fight it and fight it and fight it, and then come back. And fight it for your abs to work, and then come back. Good. I'm sweating already. We're not even doing anything. All right. From the same position, we're going to work wrists. And I'm going to move my computer just so you can get a close-up. Position. Now, what I want you to do is put your hands underneath your shoulders just like this. And now I'm just going to start rocking myself forward. So I'm going to bring my shoulders over my hands. Forward and back. Now, I can tell you, this is a selfish drill for me. I've got something going on with my wrist here. When I go forward on my right side, I don't feel anything. I feel maybe a stretch. On my left side, I feel it like pinches a little bit. So right there, that starts to tell me there's something going on in my wrist. And so I want you to start to not only get a little bit of range of motion and flexibility, but start to see, do I have something going on? Because let's play this out. For me, it's a little hard to put pressure on this left wrist. So now let's say if I have push-ups in the WOD, or I'm trying to go inverted with handstands, and I don't want to put as much pressure on this wrist, well, I'm going to overload the other shoulder. And now do I create a different problem because of the stupid wrist thing that I'm dealing with, right? So as you start to go forward and start to go back, you're getting mobility, but you're also assessing. Do you feel a difference from side to side? Is it very, very tight? If that's super easy for you, watch how I'm going to take my hands, I'm going to reverse and turn them the other way, and I'm going to actually go the other direction. So I turn my hands the other way, and I'm going to go backwards. Do a big pull and a big stretch on my wrists. You could even start to make some circles. Forward, one direction, and then the other, just to really, really work the wrists. We don't talk about wrists much, but I can tell you in my practice, wrists are the hardest injury to treat because there are people that if they have a wrist issue, it's usually a long-term thing and, you know, gone wrong, lingered incorrectly, you can cause a lot of damage. So certainly pay attention to that. If you guys are doing this and this is sore, more of it because I know that if you guys do push-ups and inverted stuff, you're going to need that support of that wrist. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to go to some hip stuff. So what we're going to do is a 90-90 position. So a 90-90 position, so this isn't going to be like pigeon pose where you're doing like yoga. It's going to be a 90-90 where your legs are at 90 degrees and your back leg's at 90. So from the side, it looks like this. So your hip's at 90 and your leg is at 90. Now from there, I'm staring right at the screen now. What you can see, I have a 90-degree angle here, 90-degree angle here, and a 90-degree angle back here. What I'm not going to do is this. The logo on my shirt, I'm not just going to go straight down towards my knee. What I'm actually going to do, I'm going to keep my hands in front of me. I'm going to stay tall, keep a neutral spine, and I'm going to bring the logo of my shirt right towards you, right towards the camera. So as I start to come forward, what I feel is the back of my hip stretching. I shouldn't feel my back. I shouldn't feel a pull in my groin. I should only feel the backside of this hip. But again, we started with neutral spine, same rules apply. I'm starting to move forward. I'm feeling a pull in the back. I'm not rounding. I'm not extending. I'm staying neutral. From here, I'm going to move 10 to 15 reps going forward. If you're really flexible and that's really easy, take your knee and push it into the ground really, really hard. That's going to engage that glute medius muscle. When you engage it, it's going to force it to work while you're stretching it. So if you can kind of just flop yourself down, engage that muscle and start to move forward and push yourself back, really pushing this knee down into the ground. Like if you had something underneath and you had to push it down, do that. Good. Good. Hey, Christina, just make sure your abs are turned on a little bit, just so don't get extended through here. Just kind of neutralize out a little bit, and then Mick, do the opposite. So don't round so much, try to stay upright, and then really try to get the motion from your hip as opposed to rounding at your back. So don't rob Peter to pay Paul. So if you don't have the hip and you get the back, your back's gonna bother you. Good. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch sides, okay? And what I want you to pay attention to, does one side feel different than the other? Right? It's a mobility drill, but it's a test, it's an assessment. Same thing. As soon as you get in this position, it might feel good, it might not feel good, but it's an assessment. So the 2 on my chest is over the middle of my knee, my hands are on the ground, I'm upright and I'm tall, and I'm gonna start to move myself forward and just start to rock back and come back. Again, if this is easy, just push that front knee into the ground a little bit more. You shouldn't feel pain in your back. You should feel a stretch in your hip. You should feel mobilizing and working in your hip. Good. And rock back and rock forward. Good. 3 more. And then now, so just look at me here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact opposite. So we were working front side and going forward from the same position. I'm going to work back side. If this hip is already cramping on you, it probably means that your hip is tight in what's called internal rotation, and those muscles aren't used to being there. I mean, I don't want it to cramp, but it's not a bad thing. It just means you probably need to do it a little bit more. Now from here, I'm going to take this hand that was in front, I'm going to put it behind. I'm still going to be upright, and now I'm going to start leaning backwards. As I lean backwards, you should feel a stretch in the front of that back hip. Don't arch backwards to do it. Again, neutral spine, lean back, and start going back. You should feel a hip flexor stretch, and also extra credit here, this glute, this backside glute, watch, I'm going to exaggerate it. I'm going to squeeze that like I'm squeezing at the top of a deadlift. Hold that squeeze. And now I go back. So I'm going to squeeze this glute and then lean back. Squeeze the glute and then lean back. Keep going. And as you're going, just look at the screen because I want to kind of connect the dots for you. This is the exact same thing. Standing up tall, you're stretching the front of your hips up here and you're squeezing your glutes. Okay? So either at the top of a deadlift, at the top of a swing, where you're increasing the range of motion on the front of your hip, squeezing the back of the hip. That's why we're doing this. 3 or 4 more, and then we're going to switch sides. So if you had your right leg back, let's go ahead and we're going to switch sides. So now I have left side back, right leg forward. I'm going to squeeze my backside glute. My hands are going to be behind me. I'm going to be up tall. And I'm going to start to lean backwards. I'm going to start to lean backwards, okay? So let's do about 10 or 15. I'll go from the side. So squeeze and extend. Squeeze and extend. For all of us that have been sitting, think about this as opening up your hips. So normal circumstances, if we sit at desk jobs, this is great. Now it's probably even better because we're all at home, we're seated, we're flexed, we're in this rounded, crappy position. This helps to really open up those hips. More than opening the hips for you guys, specifically in CrossFit, it not only opens your hips, it's a hip opener, but it's a glute activator. And that's all that lifting is, really, if you think about it. At the top position of your deadlift, at the top position of your kettlebell swing, you're opening your hips up and extending, but you're also squeezing your glutes, or you should be. So this is a great position to start to understand that from. All right, now that you're loose there and you're warmed up a little, what I want you to be able to assess is the side-to-side range of motion. So I want you to get on either side, either position, and what I want you to do is once you're comfortable, I want you to be upright. I want you to take your hands and put them to the side or to the front, I don't care which. So if you can't stay upright, the biggest concern here is this hip. This hip is not allowing you. It's either the groin muscle that's tight or it's the rotation of this hip that's limited. If you can't get this side down, you're gonna fall over to the side. So from there, I want you to see what that feels like on that side, and then let's see what it feels like on the other side. I can tell you that, you know, I've had some right hip stuff in the past. It's harder for me to be upright on this side than it is the other side. This side, I have to work a little bit harder. So if you guys give me a thumbs up if one side's harder than the other. Anybody? One, Mick, anybody else, one side's harder than the other?
Yeah.
Okay, pick your harder side. So I'm gonna do my right side. Pick your harder side. If you don't have either side that's harder, then you can just pick whatever you want. We're gonna pick your harder side here. So for me, it's my right leg's back. What we're going to do is, if my right leg's back, my left hand is on the ground, I'm gonna push hard into the ground. I'm gonna push my knee that way. By pushing my knee that way, my leg is gonna go to the ground. I'm gonna squeeze this glute and I'm gonna start to kind of mobilize my hip a little bit. So I'm relaxed, but then I'm gonna squeeze and I'm gonna push. And I want you to hold. If you cramp in your glute, you're doing the right thing. And as you do it, just try to keep pushing yourself a little bit more upright and try to get up tall. And try to get up tall. So I'll exaggerate it. I'm to the side. I'm going to try to push myself up tall, push my leg out, and try to get as upright and tall as I can. And then there, I'm going to hold. And I'm going to squeeze my glute. I'm going to hold. I'm going to engage my abs. I'm going to push my shoulder in. So yeah, this is mobility, but we're stabilizing the muscles so that your body can actually respond to what we need. Squeeze and hold. And hold and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, good. Everyone shake it out. Take a break. Just grab a sip of water if you need it. So we're going to move into some hip flow exercises. So again, just to review, we found spine extension all the way, and then we found neutral core. Okay. Then from there, we moved you into a squat pattern on your knees. Then we moved into some wrist mobility drills. Then we started to move into some hip rotation, so external and internal hip rotation. Now we're going to move into put it all together with some hip flow exercises. What this looks like, so just watch for a sec. I'm going to show you the whole pattern and then I'll break it down, so just watch for a sec. We're going to start with your legs at about 45-degree angles with your heels on the ground, your toes in the air. My hands are behind me, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start to work my hips from side to side. Ideally, I don't want my butt yet to come off the ground. So I'm just trying to work my hips down without moving anything else. That's step one. Step two is I'm actually going to move, and then I'm going to rotate into that 90-90. And then I'm going to flow back and then flow to the other side. But we'll walk you through that. So everyone start here. It's phase one. So feet, knees out in front of you. Everyone looks good. Try to keep your butt cheeks on the ground. And then from there, you're going to rotate side to side and side to side. So it looks good. What I want you to fight here, though, is I want you to fight. Try to think about your belly button's got to stay pointed straight to the ceiling, but your hips are going to move around it. Okay, so if your belly button's moving and your hips are moving, then you're moving your lumbar spine, which I don't want you to do. I want you to really just try to focus on moving your hips. Good. Good. Excellent. Christine, just bend your knees a little bit more. Just bend them. Yep. Perfect. Excellent. Good. All right. Good. All right. Now, phase 2. We're going to go here. We're going to rotate, and then we're going to come up onto this side. Hands in the air. We're going to put our hands behind us. We're going to switch to the other side. Hands in the air. Hands behind us. Switch to the other side. Hands in the air. And so you're starting on your back, and then you're ending up in your 90-90, right? So you're ending up in your 90-90. And then you're rotating. Yeah, there you go. You guys got it. And then you're rotating into your 90-90. As you guys get comfortable with it, it looks great, actually. The better you get, the less hands I want you to use. So actually, your fearless leader, Evelyn, was doing that already. She was extra credit, right? So hands in the air, rotate onto here. Good. Now switch sides if you can, without your hands. Hands in the air, and you're going to rotate. And rotate. Good. Excellent. Excellent. Good. 2 or 3 more. Perfect. All right. We're going to do one more thing. All right, last thing. So we're almost done. If you need a pad to put under your knee, grab it. If you don't, that's okay. We're going to go in what we call a half kneeling position. So 1 knee down, 1 foot up. So 1 knee down, 1 foot up. Okay. In this position, the rules don't change. So if you've taken yoga in the past, sometimes they do like hip flexor stretches where they just kind of do this. We're not doing that, okay? What we are doing is we're finding neutral spine. So we're rotating our pelvis forward. We're rotating back, and then we're finding neutral. And from this position, I feel like my leg that's down, this glute is squeezed. So I'm pushing my knee into the ground, and you should feel that glute on that side is tight. Now from there, now we start to lean forward a little bit and get a hip flexor stretch. So we're squeezing the glute, keeping the spine neutral, and then we're going forward. Another visual for you. You're buttoning up your butt and you're zipping up your front. And then you're going into your mobility. And not doing this, I'll exaggerate. Okay? So glute squeezed, start to go forward. This should be a nice, subtle, front of the hip flexor stretch. Do not lose your core. Keep your abs engaged. Keep your hip tight. Squeeze and pulse forward. Good. And now switch sides. I just did that side. Left side. So again, look, pelvis forward, pelvis back, and then I'm going to find neutral. I'm going to squeeze this glute. Abs are tight, glute is squeezed, and I'm going to pulse forward. Keeping my abs engaged, keeping my glutes squeezed. It should be a small stretch. If you're going really far forward, you're not engaging something. So squeeze that glute. Good. Good. Good job, Mick. See you squeezing that glute. That's great. Christina, a little bit more abs, a little bit more of this. So almost think like you're rounding. Yep, there you go. That was it right there. Perfect. Perfect correction. Oh, Nicole, I didn't see you. Hi, you're doing good. Looks good, Deanna. Jim, excellent. Yeah, everybody looks good. All right, last one. From that position, we're just gonna get a little T-spine, thoracic spine rotation, rib cage rotation. This is gonna try to, again, I try to combine 2 things here, CrossFit and just general. We're all sitting inside and in this shitty position, right? So we're just gonna get a little bit of rotation here. something that we generally don't get a lot of in weightlifting. Go into your stay in that position. Okay, so from there, what I want you to think about is your belly button's going to stay straight ahead. Your feet are going to be planted hard. And then I'm just going to just rotate ever so slightly towards the leg that's up. If you're able to rotate really far, that means you're getting it from somewhere else. I really want it to just be from the rib cage. So you can put your hands in front and rotate. You can cross them. I don't care. But as I'm doing this, all I feel is really kind of this area starting to stretch. Rotate around. Good. So if my left leg is up, I'm just twisting into my left side. When we switch, we're going to switch sides. So I'm in this half kneel. I'll back up so you can see, and then rotate. Rotate. 2 or 3 more. 1. Good. 2, 3. Good. Switch sides, switch legs. So I'm going to go right leg up. I'm going to rotate to the right. I'm engaging my glutes though. I'm pushing my knee into the ground. I'm pushing my foot into the ground. My belly button is staying pointed straight ahead, and I'm just trying to rotate my logo.
Yes, Mama.
Good.
Little guy.
Rotate through.
Like in the air.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. Oh.
Good.
This is the weirdest
Excellent.
thing.
Perfect.
I've never seen this movie. This is the weirdest movie I ever saw. Okay.
Jim, I see some golf clubs in the background. The golf field right here. That's what we do with all our golfers at the country club. So good for the T-spine, good for the hips, good for the core. If you guys feel this in your lower back, you're over-rotating. It should be all through the torso. All through the torso. Whew. I'm sweating. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you feel a little bit better now. Good. Perfect. All right. So again, like you guys saw, this wasn't just straight up yoga stretching. Nothing wrong with that. This is just a little bit different. This to me is kind of like the best of both worlds, right? We're getting a little bit of stability. We're gaining stability in our core and our glutes where we need to have it. And then we're able to kind of mobilize ourselves around it. All right. So what I hope you got out of tonight was a couple things. Number 1, finding neutral spine. Number 2, hopefully seeing if you have something that may not hurt you right now, but you notice, oh, my left hip does not do what my right hip has. Imagine what's happening when you're squatting. Even if you don't feel it then, it's better to know it now before the wheels fall off, right? So sometimes these type of classes, it's good for mobility, but it's good for the awareness for you guys to understand that you might have something going on that you might not have felt before. The couple other things for you, again, we did neutral spine, we did some spine end range, we did some wrists, we did those 90-90, we did some hip transfers. If you in your 90-90, you feel one side is significantly different, you got some work to do. I would certainly, you know, if that's an issue for you and you're having some back, knee, hip pain, there's some sort of imbalance and your body's compensating in some way. So some of these drills, if you're not used to them, that's good because you can't figure it out. Your body doesn't know how to compensate. It just goes into whatever pattern it's used to. All right. Does anyone have any questions for me? No, you guys are good? All right. So, yeah, go ahead.
My right inside groin has been really tight lately.
Is it hurt with your squats, with your sitting?
No, my lunges, like with the right side, that area has been really bad with the lunges lately.
How was your 90-90 stretch? Did it bother you?
I felt great. It felt perfect. It felt really
good?
I was fine. I didn't feel the pain there. But when I was on my knees going forward, I felt it. In
the front of your hip?
On the right side, right here. Like
so what I would pay attention to is just to make sure that you don't, like the glutes on that side specifically are doing what they're supposed to. So if you have any sort of double leg exercises, you might want to, more for a test, to sub them out with something single leg, to challenge yourself, to see. You might have a lack of stability somewhere that's causing that, and it might not even be that leg. Right? So think about the wrist example that I said. That's why a lot of this stuff is interesting. So if my left wrist is hurting, I'll probably won't hurt this shoulder because I'm not going to put as much pressure on it. What will hurt is the other side because I'm going to end up compensating, right? So the story I've told with that all the time, when I was in college, I rolled my ankle running to first base on a Friday during a game, and I taped that ankle Saturday for our game, and then I pulled my other hamstring because my body was just compensating. It was just trying to figure it out. So in your workouts, what I would start to pay attention to is if I do something single leg or side planking, is there somewhere where I notice a big difference? Because then you'll get to the root cause of it versus, I could tell you to massage your leg or foam roll and stretch, and that might help, but it probably will just be a Band-Aid. What I would want to look for is pay attention in your workouts. Do you notice a shift? Ask the coaches when they're looking at you. Take a video of yourself squatting. Is there some sort of asymmetry that's going on? Is your knee collapsing? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Anybody else have any questions? Yeah.
Justin, so I've been doing those, the 90-90 or variations of that stretch every day for months, probably like over a year. And once I had my hip, always just like locked up. Would you say that's more so something that I should be doing from like a muscle activation or still stretching?
Knowing your profile that you're generally hypermobile, I would always, again, from guessing from here, probably a stability thing. I would go back to look to see, even as we were doing some of those like hip flexor stuff, like very subtly, I could see you were starting to just kind of get out in this position. And again, I'm extrapolating that to say, all right, if you're leaking any sort of energy here, there's 1,000% chance that when you're loaded that you're losing your pelvis position, right? So the core and hip is so much related because if you think about it, your pelvis and your core, they connect to one another. So if you're forward or backwards, your hip doesn't sit the way it's supposed to, and that's when we create some sort of like impingement stuff. So anyone that comes to us with hip issues, the first thing that we do is we look at their core and their pelvis, because if we don't fix that, it's like kind of like building Legos sideways where you don't really ever fix the actual issue. So I would go back into a lot of neutral spine core type activity, even back to like dead bugs and crawl and different things like that. And for you, most likely it would be you biasing almost into this position because it's so foreign. A lot of people get stuck. We think that neutral spine ends up being like almost extended, and you keep going to extended positions. When you get really extended in your back, your core doesn't work as well. So almost like going the opposite direction, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And again, like at this point, if you kind of answer your question, if you've been doing, as a general rule, if you've been doing anything for months and months and months and months and it hasn't fixed it, it probably won't fix it. You know what I mean? So I would definitely look more if I'm doing mobility and it's not working, then I want to look into stability. Okay. So I would look into, either hip stability or core stability or something of that nature.
Cool.
Anybody else have questions? Cool. Well, if any of you guys have any specific questions, again, we have openings in our schedule for you guys to call. We're doing, complimentary sessions right now just to kind of get you guys through all of this to see, because I know a lot of you guys are dealing with some issues and it's hard to do right now. And a lot of people are we're seeing people that were good and then they've kind of been quarantined for 8 weeks and now they're not good anymore. So if any of you guys have any issues, Evelyn, they'll have my email, but if you could just share it with them and they could shoot me a message, and then, I'm here and we can set up a time to chat and go through some of this specifically so that we put you moving in the right direction. But I mean, Evelyn, we're going to try to do this again next week unless something else changes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay. But if you guys have any issues before then, if there's anything specific any of you guys want to work on, you can shoot me a message. We can go through it. If there's any areas that you're struggling with that you want to address in the class, send me a message, tell Evelyn, do whatever, and we can address it. Okay. Because we're going to plan on doing this as long as we have to get y'all through it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Good night, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Night.